What is your favorite, quality versus quantity? Example. Work. You will have some bosses that say, take any time you need. Get your job done and be ready to work when you have to, while others want your butt in a chair at your desk for 8 hours every day, no questions asked. I'm a software engineer for an application used by a call center. We had a major release that helps automate some of the steps that the call center workers would otherwise do manually. It cut the average call time by about 40%, which we were really happy about. A few weeks later, one of the call center managers asked if we could remove the new feature because the employees weren't spending enough time on phone calls. This completely incompetent moron thought quantity of work was literally the only thing that mattered. I was like, dude, the whole point is to keep customers happy by limiting the length of their calls. He was ready to fuck over our customers and all of his employees for no reason. Edit. It wasn't something they were getting measured on. Although, I totally see where you guys are coming from there. I don't believe anybody was let go, but I think they did eliminate some open positions. It was probably impacting a metric that his annual review depended on. This guy corporates. Tools. One quality screwdriver, wrench or whatever will last you a lifetime and can replace dozens of cheap tools. I like Adam Savage's take on this. Buy the cheap tool first, and if you use it often, buy a better one. No use in buying expensive tools which you don't use a lot. I call that the Harbor Freight rule. If you find you need a tool you don't own, buy the Harbor Freight knockoff, and if you use it enough it fails. Then you know you use it often enough that it's worth it to invest in a quality product. If you only use it once or twice a year, you'll likely never wear it out, and it wasn't worth it to spend big money on quality. Alfredo's Pizza Cafe versus Pizza by Alfredo. Pizza by Alfredo is a hot circle of garbage. It's a hate crime in a dish. A nice, fitted suit versus 3 ill-fitted suits purchased from an average place. Same price, but makes a world of difference. I showed up at my brother-in-law's wedding with a suit that was handed down to me. Mother-in-law was not having that in her son's wedding, so she took me out to get fitted for one. I had never experienced that before and I was in my 30s. My God, does wearing a fitted suit make you feel amazing? I dreaded wearing nice clothes like that because they were so uncomfortable, but that suit was like wearing a second skin, so much movement, no adjusting all the time. I still have it and wear it when I want to feel awesome lol. If I suddenly became rich, the first thing I'd buy would be an entire wardrobe of fitted outfits. Clothing. I used to buy so many cheap items of clothing because it was only a few dollars. Then one day I realized I had so much clothing but nothing that great or that lasted more than a few uses. It's so much better to buy a couple of good quality pieces of clothing that you can wear for multiple occasions than to buy a bunch of cheap stuff. My mom's last days. 2 weeks from pancreatic cancer diagnosis to her death. We were expecting to be able to care for her at home for at least a couple of months. She refused treatment. But 2 days after coming home, realizing how much strain would be put on us to care for her, my eldest niece was on the verge of dropping out of her final year of school to look after her beloved granny. I think my mom, always the stubborn independent one, just decided, nah. not doing this to my family. I'm going to go see my husband. But honestly, the 2 days we had with her were all quality. Someone was sitting with her every second. She battled to speak at the end, but her kids and grandkids and her puppy were all there. We all got to say everything that had always been unsaid. When we ran out of words we sang to her. She literally died in her granddaughter's arms. Of course we'd have loved a bit longer, but for her quality was definitely better than the quantity that would just have included increasing suffering, independence and indignity. My sister-in-law was terminally ill. She had suffered for a few years plodding along, but I think she had enough. She had a great day with my wife, and when she got home she didn't take the medication she needed to live. She died on the sofa lying down chatting with my wife. We didn't find out till later that she didn't take her meds. My wife thinks maybe she was too weak to get them. I know different. She was an incredibly strong, independent woman. She'd had enough and went out on her own terms after having a great day. That's probably one of the best ways to pass, with family caring for you and there for you. A party. I used to party a lot, because I thought that's what fun was supposed to be. Now I just sometimes go to the parties I myself really like. Much better. I tried going to ragers and found that they just weren't my thing. I'd always feel weird in high school and college when I would say no to parties like that, since I felt like I should have been going. But even so, I'd much rather chill around a bonfire, watch movies and play games, and just keep the parties smaller with a closer group of friends. Found it to be much more fun that way. I feel like a lot of people attend the big parties because there is more of a pool of potential friends, hookups and potential partners. Once I started seeing someone, the big parties just didn't have much appeal to me other than hanging out with friends. When I became single again, they were a great way to meet new people though. Approximately 30 years ago, I bought a couple of cooking spoons, each a solid piece of stainless steel. Paid $6 total. My mother-in-law bitched at me for wasting money, because I could have gotten the cheap chromed ones with plastic handles for $3.78 total. I said the two I chose would last longer. She said I just wanted fancy things and thought I was better than other people. I'm still using mine 30 years later. Hell, my grandchildren will probably be using them. They are beautiful and functional. Edit, as requested, the spoons, smiley face. In my experience, single-piece stainless steel utensils are also usually a lot easier to clean off even the most caked-on stuff. Same with glass containers or mason jars versus Tupperware. As a man without a dishwasher, at least half of the weight any kitchen purchase relates to how easy it is to clean. Most of my stuff is single-piece and durable, with smooth curves and no grooves or connection points for dirt to hide. Studying. I have friends who study for hours and hours but don't target specific material in a way that's effective. There have been tons of academic studies that show which kinds of studying are the most effective for retention, so I stick to those and end up studying for far less time. Edit. Worst studying techniques are cramming and rereading or highlighting the material. Best studying techniques are slower and cumulative and involve rewriting the material into a study guide or flashcards, as well as doing lots of practice questions. Makeup. Can't believe no one else has said this. And I don't mean to shame anyone, too much makeup is disgusting, but you can get a good coverage with good quality products instead of having to reapply shit stuff by layers. Man, makeup is such a crapshoot. You can buy a $10 foundation and it can be amazing or awful. Same goes with a $50 foundation. You can read or watch all the reviews first, but everyone's skin and preferences are unique, so it will work differently for you. I know this is kind of a tangent, but I felt it was worth mentioning. For me, it's working out. I do about 10 to 15 legit push-ups per set instead of rushing and doing 100 not legit push-ups. Edit. I do not mean that you should stop on this. I agree with all that you must increase reps or add on additional weight. My point is that doing your workout in right pose and right shape is more important than doing many but not in right pose. That's it. There's been a recent trend of TV shows only having like 10 episodes per season instead of 20 plus, and a lot of times it's so much better for the show. British TV has been doing that for years, largely due to budget constraints, and it's one of the reasons many of the big dramas are really tight on the story and characterization. I'm glad to see it's a trend that American TV is jumping on. Yeah, British TV was kind of hard for me to get into at first because of that. I would think, 5 episodes for a season? Really, that's it? But over time you realize that each episode is better made than if you had a 20-season show. Peaky fucking blinders. Ducks. I'd rather have one really great duck than a bunch of shady ones. How do you measure if your duck is great or shitty? How do you know if your pizza is great or shitty? Some things you just know. Exactly. It's the cheese to crust ratio, same as ducks. Have you ever had a duck with no cheese? It's awful. Duck with cheese equals perfect 5/7.